Hello, this is Stephen here with the Bay County Public Library. I wanted to come and talk to you about a program that I'm going to be running throughout the summer and maybe into the fall here. It's a Dungeons & Dragons program that has been funded by the Panhandle Access Library Network. What does that mean? Well, Dungeons & Dragons is a tabletop role-playing game. And while you may or may not be familiar with what tabletop role-playing games are, they are a cooperative storytelling opportunity between players and a narrator. In this case, the game that we're going to be focusing on is Dungeons & Dragons. There are many others out there, other fantasy ones such as Pathfinder. There's science fiction ones, cyberpunk, Starfinder. There's horror ones, Vampire, Call of Cthulhu, Dread, Westerns, Deadlands, Sidewinder. There's a whole bunch of different, if you can think of a genre, there is a game that is developed for tabletop role-playing with your friends. Over the course of these videos, I'm going to be talking about what to kind of expect. We'll be doing a few crafting videos to kind of spruce up your gaming table for when we actually get back to being able to game with our friends in a live setting. We will talk about just how to play games and what is kind of expected of you. If you are new to role-playing games, welcome. It is an interesting hobby. You might have even already played one without even knowing it. Video games are rife with the genre. If you've ever played a game like Skyrim, if you've ever played a game like World of Warcraft, if you've ever played Mass Effect or Final Fantasy or even Fallout, those are all role-playing games. They're computer-based role-playing games, but they all take their cues from the tabletop that spawned them. The largest one in the world right now is Dungeons & Dragons, which is a fantasy-based game where the players take on the roles of fighters, wizards, priests, rogues, you name it, and there's a class for it, and you're out there battling evil and fighting monsters and collecting treasure and saving people from dragons. You know it, and it can be created. Role-playing games are games that immerse you into a character, immerse you into a world. You take on the aspects of a character that has certain skills that you may or may not possess and kind of act out how it is. It's a little bit improv, it's a little bit dice rolling, it's a lot of fun. You might ask yourself, why are you doing this, Stephen? Well, I have been an active gamer for more years than I'm going to admit on camera. When I was a young lad, I had a scout leader take us on a camping trip one year, and to pass the time as we were out there in the woods, he whipped out a role-playing game for us to play. In this case, I had an unusual journey in the sense that one of the games that most people play later in their lives was my first experience, and we were playing Call of Cthulhu that night, horror-based, which kind of might explain a lot about me later on. But we were playing a role-playing game that introduced me into the world of role-playing games. It got me curious about what other type of games are out there, and then I discovered Dungeons & Dragons and its beautiful red box edition that came with a set of dice that I had to hand color with crayons and play from there and find people to enjoy this hobby with me. These was many, many years ago, so the hobby hadn't formed as much as it is now, where you can see various celebrities all over YouTube playing games with their friends, encouraging other people to play it, be it Joe Manganiello, Mark Mears with Critical Role, or any number of other celebrities that are out there. It has definitely flourished, and I think that's because the generation that first started it kind of spread it to their children, and they're now mainstream people. So here we are enjoying a golden era of role-playing games. So that's why I'm bringing this program to it. There are aspects of role-playing games that will translate into things that you do in life. The number of times that I have learned a new skill to be more familiar with something that I'm doing in a game, I can't even begin to tell you. Provides a way to, because it is a cooperative storytelling game, you sit around with other people, so you have to engage in social skills. It builds social comfort with things. It introduces us to the concepts of learning how to accept failure, because everything you do in these games is not going to succeed. There are going to be times where you don't, and this gives us a chance to deal with failure in a controlled environment and kind of learn and grow from that. It's a great way to relieve stress. It's a great way to kind of be exposed to new ideas, because not everybody that's going to come to the table is going to have the same background that I have. They're not going to have the same background you're going to have, and it's going to let us communicate with one another and kind of see how we're all different but still the same and grow from there. So that's why I'm bringing this particular program to the library. So what is a role-playing game at its core? As I've said, it is a cooperative storytelling game, usually played with 3 to 7 players. The majority of those players are going to take on the roles of player characters. These are characters that they have created that they're going to breathe personality, they're going to breathe life into. They're going to have a character sheet that tells them what skills they're good at, what role they kind of serve in the world, and they're going to act out their interactions to the world through that character. The one other person that is most needed for a game, and there are some games that don't require this, but a majority of them do, is a game master, or in the case of a Dungeons & Dragons, a dungeon master. Every game, because D&D is a copyrighted licensed property, dungeon master is their particular one, so every game has a different term for that narrator at the heart, be it a storyteller, be it a chronicler, be it marshal if we're playing Deadlands or what have you, but there's generally that one person that is there to present the world, present the challenges, let the players react to them, and describe the reaction that the world has to those players' actions. The game master is the one that is responsible for setting the tone of the game. They are the ones that are there to provide the challenge. But I know what you're thinking. If there's a person that's in control of the world and there's player characters, they are playing at odds with each other. And that's not the case. As I said, this is a cooperative storytelling game. They are there not to win over the players. They are there to facilitate the enjoyment of everybody at the game, to provide memorable moments. Whether you win or succeed, whether you succeed or fail, there's happiness and fun in either end. In a game like Dungeons & Dragons, there's a 20-sided die. And in some cases, when you roll a 20, that means that it is an ultimate success. And when you roll a 1, that's an ultimate failure. And at either end of those spectrums, there is fun. So, much like video games, a role-playing game has rules and structure to it. And that is what the marshal, the game master, the dungeon master is there to bring into effect. They are there to guide the story along as actions happen. Some might be working off of pre-published adventures where everything is written down and they kind of have a outline of there's a castle, and the left corner of the castle in a room there's a piece of pie that's being guarded by some sort of monster. In the right corner, there's a pool. Stuff that is laid out to save them time to kind of, because not everybody has time to build out adventures. And a lot of people will take those pre-published ones and either run with them as they're published or make some changes to it just to kind of go along. Other people will build their own world, build their own adventures. And that can be equally as engaging as anything that has been professionally published. Some of the best times that we've had as in my gaming groups have been where we've just picked up something and just randomly worked with it and kind of go from there. Unlike video games, RPGs are not limited to a set structure, is where I'm going with this. They're not limited to a set structure. In any particular video game, if you complete A, it's going to lead you to B, it's going to lead you to C. It's very streamlined. You might have some sandboxes where you go out and do some other side quests or what have you, but at the end of the day, if the game doesn't let you jump, you're not jumping. If the game doesn't allow you to climb a particular ladder, you're not going to climb that ladder. There'll be doors that you can't open. There'll be things that you will not be able to see because they're not designed to be seen. The advantage of a tabletop role-playing game is that it is limited strictly by your imagination. If we were playing a game where we had to find a way into the throne room of some evil lord to stop him from oppressing some group of masses, we may have a set way. We might have, in a video game, we might have to complete it via stealth mission, but it's going to have certain structures that we do. Whereas in a tabletop role-playing game, we could do, if you want to try to talk your way past the guards, hey, let's try to talk our way past the guards. You want to fight your way past the guards? We can do that. You want to sneak around through the kitchen, come up through a secret passage that you've learned about? We can try that. There are any number of ways that you can think about to get into there. Those type of impromptu surprises can bring about fun for both the players and the game master as they try to figure out, okay, well, let's see how this plays out. There's nothing that stops you from doing anything. You could, depending on the world that you're playing in, you could be a wizard, you could be a star pilot, you could be a gunslinger, you name it, depending on the setting. A role-playing game, you can play it out. Unfortunately, due to the COVID situation, we will not be doing what I originally anticipated, which is coming into the library, having a sit-down game where some of the crafts that we built came into play right there on the table. We will be doing this online, which is something that, though originally this was designed to be a tabletop pen and paper style game, as people grew up and grew farther apart from their gaming groups, people have developed ways for us to do this online, and that's what we're going to be doing for our particular setup. We will be doing a Roll20 style group. There will be sign-ups online for you to reach out to us so that we can get you into one of the games. As I said, they are generally 3 to 7 players, so spaces will be limited, but we will get you out there and we will get you in there if you want to play. So some of that will be us discussing what we're going to play, how we're going to play it. Other parts of it is that we will be making crafts and other type of scatter style terrain so that when we do go back to our regular lives and are able to play with our friends in person, we will have things to throw out on the table to make our gaming more exciting there. People may think that these type of games are only for kids. Let me tell you straight out, there is nothing that is more fun as an adult than playing these as well. So the programs itself will be geared to both youth and adults. We're not going to limit it too much by age. There is we will be discussing fighting, we will be discussing magic, we will be discussing, combat and resolution kind of stuff, so I would encourage it to be more on the teen scale up. So please be aware of that, but we are not limiting the age as far as where it ends. If you are 204 and want to play a game with us, we will get you in there and you will have fun, I guarantee this. I can tell you that in my personal group, it's always been a group of however old you think I am, playing with each other, and we've had people that are younger, people that are older than this, but it has always been a good time. That's going to wrap us for this intro video, and we will see you next time.